we have some brand new Call of the Stones spoilers, and I am super duper excited, as y'all should be too. So, just a couple days ago, we got the announcement of some new Call of the Stones spoilers on the Wonders website. If you do not know where to find it, I'm going to put the link below. Also, you can go to the Wonders website, click the news, under the news column, click blog, and it'll take you right to, this should be the first thing to pop up. And it is the Dutch auction winners from, I want to say, a couple of months ago. Wonders are the first collaborates with the community to help pick some of the cards that go in the set. It's an auction. Whoever wins, you get to bid on an orbital. So if you win the Umberthine orbital, you get to pick one card to go into the set. And so we just got those revealed, and there is some juicy stuff in here. Some keywords that I was not aware, and some aware of, and some other fun things. And so it's 6 cards total. If I'm remembering correctly, they are all legendary. So the first is King Solrend the Cursed. He has Eternal. You may return this to target realm Rage and Unstable. Eternal basically says if a card would be denied from the top of your deck, it gets directly returned to the realm. In this case, Eternal is just something that triggers when you deny a card. And so his second ability is one of the new abilities that we knew about, Rage. Basically, you have an immediate attack phase right after you play the card. That card, however, is sacrificed at the end of combat. So if I played this card, I would play it. If I chose to rage it, I would immediately attack. It wouldn't switch to my opponent's action. It would boom. And then there is another keyword. I can tell this is a keyword because it just says this. It doesn't it's a mythic. So on mythics or epics, because it is a mythic, I know that I'm just going to see the card and no explanation in parentheses. Commons, uncommons, and rares all have the explanation of keywords in parentheses. Unstable, which is a new keyword to my knowledge and everything that I know, means that at the end of the round, this card must be sacrificed. So, basically with this card, it's a really interesting trait. You can either have him for a round and you have to wait to use an action, or you can have him for combat, use him on, say, one of your last actions, and boom, take a realm in the last round. I think it's really cool to see Rage and Unstable on the same card. I also think the art on this card is really cool. He's also a Lich. At the rate we're going, we're going to be able to have a Lich tribal in the next couple of sets, which I think is really cool. The second card is Aelon, Wisp Song. She is, again, a legendary wonder and a Siren Weaver. Her ability is on round end, you may tap or untap target wonder. This is really cool. I'm used to seeing tapping and untapping wonders in Petraea, I feel like, and maybe that's off, but I'm used to it. This is a really good card, especially because it's not core. So you can put this in any deck, and you just have to have 5 energy, and you get a 6-power wonder, and if it lasts till the end of the round, you get to untap another wonder. You could untap Razia. You could untap a lot of stuff and swing the field and just change the way the game is laying. And it happens every round. I don't know how you would maybe do it. I guess you could do it the same way you would do a Luminate Scarab. But you could get her out, early, particularly if you had a Tallwind land, boom, and she's untapping cards at the end of every round for 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds. Huge, because you could untap something that untaps something else and also does all sorts of stuff. From Boundless, we have Seraphel, the Ascended Guardian. Makes sense that a card named the Ascended Guardian has an Ascend ability. 4 cost, 3 power, core. And the Ascend is return a wonder you own from banishment to this realm. I have some Grace's opinions. Gonna pop that hat on now and say that I have really mixed opinions about being able to return cards from banishment. To me, it feels wrong to a card to be able to come back from banishment. But as this description states, Boundless is the orbital that writes the rules. So if Boundless is the one that says, I'm going to play by my own rules, then it makes sense that Boundless would be able to say, yeah, don't like that rule, so I'm going to write my own rule. And I think there's a certain flavor to that. A lot of the things that we see that don't really seem to fit inside the rest of the game go into Boundless. Some of the more game-breaking abilities, whether they're big, small, not all of them, but a lot of them that are just outside of the realm of normal come from Boundless, so it makes sense that we do that with this one. Heliosynth, this is a heck of a card. Vivi Bitstorm. 4 power, 4 cost, core. On play, if the last 2 cards that were played this round are in the world and or the abyss, banish them. That is huge. Now keep in mind that it is the last 2 cards. It's not the last 2 cards your opponent's played. It's the last 2 cards. This is not the card to play if you have a lot of momentum going. If you are playing, doing a bunch of good stuff. Unless you want to banish stuff and you're going to like bring them back from banishment or whatever. Unless you're working a banishment combo, you don't typically want to banish your own stuff. Now, granted, there's a lot of banishment combos in this game, but in general, if you have the momentum going, if you're building up your board state, you're not going to want to play Vivi. But if your opponent is just chugga on a roll, you could play this and take out their 2 best cards that they just played. Maybe not their 2 best cards, but you could take out the 2 cards that they just played. It is worth noting, it's cards, not wonders. So you could end up accidentally banishing a spell that's useless in the graveyard or something else. Just something to be aware of when you're planning how to use this card. Next is Sulfera, the Light Primordial. On arrival, each player gains 10 energy. As it says, as the description says, it is not subtle. This would be huge in the current meta because everything is about gaining energy, gaining actions, doing a bunch of stuff. If people can figure out a way to symbiosis this, it would go crazy. And I know there's going to be ways. Now, granted, the fact that you are also giving your opponent 10 energy could be an issue. Wouldn't be an issue if your opponent didn't have any actions, but still could be an issue if you are both starting early. Maybe they were holding on to an Azure Sky Citation because they couldn't play it, and then suddenly they can play it. That's going to be an issue for you. So you have to be aware and plan around that when you play this card, from the looks of it and from what I'm seeing. The last card that has been spoiled is Orion Night Prowler. Legendary Wonder, 7 cost, 7 power, core. Whenever you play a Myth Stone, put 7 counters on this. What the heck is a Myth Stone? Am I missing something? Do one of you know what a Myth Stone is? Are we getting the actual, like I guessed earlier, are we getting the actual, like, proofs of the stones? Are those going to be Myth Stones? What is a Myth Stone? And it says this card rewards commitment to a theme and a plan. When Orion hits the table, she's a clear indicator of what's coming next. But what is coming next? A Myth Stone. What is a Myth Stone? I don't know. I think one of the things that I have seen in the way the team has been talking and the way that the DBS edits have gone is that they are wanting people to lean more into themes and plans. So it makes sense that there would be a card that leans into themes and plans in these decks. There are cards that we've seen that lean into, hey, maybe you should play some legendaries. Hey, maybe you should play, I don't remember. But there are cards that, and the DBS changes, they're encouraging you to play one, maybe two colors. The meta is gently being suggested in one direction or another. And this card, putting 7+1 counters on something is huge. This would be a 14 power wonder. Now, I don't know what a Mythstone is. I don't know how difficult it's going to be to play Mythstone. But this can change the game. A 14 power wonder. A 21 power wonder. Whenever you play a Mythstone, implies to me that there are multiple Mythstones. Perhaps 7 Mythstones, because there's 7 formless stones. I don't know. I'm guessing here. But 7 times 7 is 40 something. My brain, it doesn't want to do math right now. 7 times 8 should be 56. This would be a 56 something if you played this early. You're not going to do that because it's a 7 cost. But if you manage to play 7 Mythstones after it, it'd be like a 56. 56 power. That's insane. I don't know. And maybe there's more Mythstones. I don't know. Maybe there's only going to be 2 Mythstones. I don't know. But I want to know what a Mythstone is. And I want to know how many of them there are. And maybe I've missed this. Maybe there are Mythstones out already and y'all are going to be like, Grace, you silly person, this is a Mythstone. But if not, I'm guessing that you want some answers too. So these are the 6 big spoilers from the post this week. I want to know what y'all are thinking. I want to know what you're thinking. So please, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you were thinking. Have I missed something? And as always, just keep being your wonderful selves.